This is a book review of The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. I had not been assigned this book, but I decided to read it. Actually, I gave it to my daughter to read, and she ignored it, but I thought, I should read it. I hadn't read it myself. This is kind of an amazing book, okay? The book itself, let's talk about the book itself. The book itself is about, it's like, when I first listened to it, I'm like, what? This is West Side Story? This is the movie Grease? This is they call themselves the Greasers, and they are, it's not an ethnic thing. It's a straight up, poor and rich thing. And in the high school, the kids are in high school. The main character is 14 years old, and he has two older brothers. And they have like a gang of greasers, and they act this certain way, and they rumble with the socias, the kids who are at the high school or in the town and have money, and they are fighting with each other. They have a antagonism, and every once in a while they fight each other. They also have some sort of gangs of people, not terribly formal, but they talk about having switchblades. Guns show up a little bit, but not a lot. The greasers will steal things sometimes, and they just kind of get into trouble. It is interesting to me that there is really no meaningful adult person in the book. The main character and his two older brothers, their parents died, so they are all alone. The oldest brother kind of does whatever he has to do to keep his brothers safe. The second oldest brother dropped out of high school because, I don't know, he just did. And there is, it's kind of slow at first, like, what? This is so, what? This is crazy old-fashioned, like, this isn't how the world works anymore. And then events happen. It gets exciting. So, it's a very masculine story. There are some female characters, but it's really completely from the perspective of the male. So, and in the end, 3 characters die, even if you leave aside the parents who were dead before it started. And it's a lot about finding a reason to live, finding a reason to face your life. It's a good story. It is a good story. It is well written, and it's got a lot of action. There's the way the characters feel about it, and it's well written. Okay. However, let's talk about the author and the surrounding story of the book. The author, I didn't even know this. I was like well into the book when I found out the author wrote it when she was 16. She started it when she was 15. She wrote it when she was 16, and it was published when she was 18. Holy crap. So that's a whole category of books written by teenagers, right? There's a few of those. I think Aragon is one of them. So that's cool as heck. And this book is assigned in high school and in junior high all the time. It is really that's why I picked it out, is because a friend of mine who is a high school teacher of literature said, hey, you should read this, and you should tell your daughter to read it. So it's assigned, and it's a hot one. A lot of people, as I understand, have read it themselves because it was assigned. However, it's super controversial because there are violence, there is guns, there is like fighting, and there's some drinking involved, and that's just not good for teenagers. That's just terrible, right? So it is super controversial. I believe it's listed as, some group has it listed as number 38 of most controversial books. So it's assigned, and it's also banned, and da-da-da. So that makes it interesting. I find it a good book. It was fun. It was exciting. And it wasn't too challenging to read. It was pretty immediate. There's a lot there. So I really enjoyed it. I can recommend it. And I would totally let a teenager read it. And actually, if that teenager were inclined towards violence or drinking, I think it would be a great conversation starter to say, hey, what do you think about this? And one of the things, too, for me, I was like, how things have changed. Is this how things really were at one point? Because they are really not that way now. And I wonder what changed to bring teen violence to the way it is done now, as opposed to what she was describing, which was, I don't think she experienced it, but she's kind of describing it in the 60s. It was written, published in 67. And that was a long time ago. There you go. What do you think of it? Did you read The Outsiders? Did you like it? Were you not allowed to read it? Tell me what you think. I'd love to hear. Let's keep the conversation going.